Welcome. My name is Isabelle Tierney, and I am so glad that you're here. This is how to train for resilience and not just talk about it. So, as you come into this space, I would love it if you introduced yourself and let us know where you're joining us from and what made you sign up for this event. I commit to taking no more than 30 minutes of your time. I know how busy you are. And so, to that end, know that I won't be answering any of your questions or your comments, but once the event is done, I promise to go back and read and respond to all your comments. Now, if you want to reach out to me directly, please write in connect in the thread and or direct message me and I'll send you my calendar link so we can schedule an appointment to see if this work is a good fit for you or your organization. So, are you ready to get started? I'm going to share my screen and share my PowerPoint. As I shared, you are in the training called How to Train for Resilience and Not Just Talk About It. You are in the right space. Why does this live event matter so much right now? I imagine that if you're here, it's because of the role you play in your organization. Maybe you are a C-suite leader navigating constant pressure. Maybe you're in HR, holding the culture together while supporting everyone else. Maybe you're a first responder, carrying life and death level of stress every single day. Or maybe you work in a high pressure environment and are having a hard time holding it all together. If that's you, then you already know that stress is the number one performance killer in organizations. You also know that leaders are burning out at record rates. Maybe you are one of them. In fact, research from Vistage, a global executive organization, shows that nearly 70% of CEOs admit they feel burnout regularly, with almost one quarter experiencing it frequently or nearly every day. And the pressure isn't letting up soon. AI disruption, political instability, and economic uncertainty are all intensifying stress. In fact, companies are losing billions every year to burnout, turnover, broken collaborations, and poor decisions. So if the pace of change isn't slowing, our ability to adapt must. So, what do companies want and need right now? In my conversations with executives, HR leaders, and first responders, I keep hearing the same four things. Number one, companies want leaders who stay calm and clear under pressure. They want teams that can recover quickly when setbacks happen. They want cultures that respond to stressful events instead of react. And they want organizations that can sustain performance without burning their people out. And this isn't just what I'm hearing in one-on-one conversations. At the Work Human Conference I attended this spring, a global gathering focused on the future of work and culture, resilience was named again and again as a future work critical skill. So this tells us that this isn't just a personal nice to have. It's becoming one of the most essential capabilities organizations have to prioritize for the future. So what can you expect to learn today? Well, first, you're going to learn what resiliency actually is and what it isn't. Second, you're going to see why resilience is indeed trainable, not just something that you're born with. And third, you are going to leave with a proven science-backed tool that works in minutes and not months. Now remember, we just have 30 minutes together. In our full trainings, we go way deeper into each of these teachings. But even today, I promise you'll walk away with something real you can apply right away. So who am I? It might be important just about now to tell you who I am and why I'm here. I've been a licensed marriage and family therapist for over 20 years, and I also hold a degree in energy medicine from the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. That blend of science, psychology, and holistic training has deeply shaped how I uniquely approach stress and resilience. But here's the truth. I didn't come to this work because I wanted another credential. I came to it because stress and reactivity were running my life. They were actually ruining my life. First of all, stress cost me my marriage. Not because my husband and I didn't love each other, but because everything and everyone else came first. Work, deadlines, family responsibilities. My husband ended up being last on the list, and by the time I looked up, the disconnection had grown too wide to repair. Now, maybe you haven't been through a divorce, but maybe you still know what I mean if you experience chronic stress. Stress makes the people you care about most feel like they're getting the scraps of your attention. That's how many of us end up in relationships that feel flat, tense, conflictual, or just distant. Now, secondly, stress didn't just impact my marriage, it nearly cost me my health and my career. I was diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion around the same time and told that I had to stop working for a while until I healed. I remember waking up every single morning so depleted that I could barely get through the day. It felt like I was living on fumes, and I knew I couldn't keep going like that. And so I made a choice. I resolved to find a better way to live, to create the impact and have the kind of success I wanted, but without burning me out. And in that process, I brought together the latest research in neuroscience, psychology, and energy medicine to create the stress reset, what you're getting to learn today, first for myself and then for others. And over the last 15 years, I have trained hundreds of leaders, teams, and first responders in this same method. So when I talk about resilience, I'm not just teaching a framework. I've lived the cost of stress and I know how to come back to it. The great news is my husband and I are back together and my health and my work is better than ever. But this isn't just my story. This work has measurable impact. We've brought the stress reset into industries as varied as construction, global beauty brands, technology, and social media, among others. And how did the work impact them? Well, you can see it in the data. Entire teams reported dramatic shifts. Stress went down across the board. Well-being improved drastically. And people started collaborating and engaging with each other in brand new ways. And it's not just in corporate settings. With first responders, after just a half-day training, the results were incredibly powerful. The large majority of participants said they'd use the method at work and that they would take it home to their families. So whether it's boardrooms or police departments, what we're seeing is the same. The stress reset delivers results and it delivers them fast. We talk a lot about resilience these days, but what exactly does resilience mean? Well, let me begin by telling you what it's not. Resilience is not about gritting your teeth and pushing through no matter what. Instead, first and foremost, real resilience is the capacity to stay grounded, clear, and centered even when the pressure is incredibly high. Second, real resilience is also the ability to recognize when stress has hijacked you and to self-regulate back to balance quickly in minutes, you're going to learn. Because the thing is, we're all humans, and all of us, however foundationally resilient we might be, we will sometimes get kidnapped by stress. So knowing what to do in the moment is crucial. And last but not least, resilience is a nervous system skill. It's not some vague personality trait, which means it's something you can practice, strengthen, and measure over time. Here's a big question that I'm often asked. Is resilience born or built? Is it nature or nurture? Well, the answer is both. Some people enter leadership already more resilient than others. Partly it's because of genetics, and partly it's because of a supportive upbringing that helped them develop steadiness early on. I think we all know those leaders. Maybe you're one of them. Others may not. That's me. If you grew up in a family where stress was constant, where there wasn't much emotional support, or where you had to be on guard all the time, your nervous system may not have had the chance to build a strong foundation of resilience. But the thing is, even as adults, however resilient we are, ongoing trauma, toxic workplaces, or chronic stress can weaken anyone's capacity. But here's the great news. Resilience is always trainable. Wherever you start, I promise you that, you can strengthen your capacity. And every time you reset, you're training your nervous system to recover faster and faster, building resilience rep by rep. So if it's true, if resilience can be truly trained, the next question is how? That's why I'm so excited to introduce the stress reset to you, a simple science-backed method that helps you shift from the stress response back into the well-being response in minutes. And the great news is that it works anywhere, anytime, whether you're at work, at home, even in the middle of a difficult conversation. So let me show you how it works. This is the formula at the heart of the stress reset. Awareness plus action equals resilience. So let's start with awareness. The truth is, you can't change what you can't see, what you don't realize about yourself. If stress has hijacked you, your heart is racing, your mind is spinning, your tone is getting sharp, and you don't notice it, well, you're going to keep reacting on autopilot. You're going to stay stuck in that stress response. Awareness is what interrupts that cycle. The moment you name, oh, I'm stressed, you've already taken the first step back into choice. That's why awareness comes first. And today I'm going to show you my favorite tool for building that kind of awareness, the stress reset scale. But guess what? Awareness on its own isn't enough. How many times have you thought, I know I'm stressed, and yet you didn't know what to do, so nothing changed? Awareness without action then leaves you feeling stuck. That's why we need the second half of this work, action. So action is a simple, what we do, what I teach you, is a simple, proven three-step process that helps you shift from stress back into resilience in just minutes. And you're going to learn that today. So when you two put the two together, awareness plus action, that's when resilience becomes real. You're no longer at the mercy of your stress response. You become the one steering. And here's my promise to you. Every time you use this formula, you're rewiring your nervous system for resilience. Each reset lays down a new groove in your brain until over time, clarity, steadiness, and effectiveness become your new norm. Doesn't that sound just amazing? And this is, of course, for you and your team. Let's go deeper into awareness by introducing you to my favorite tool, the Stress Reset Scale. This is the only tool you'll ever need if you really want to learn how to become more aware of your stress patterns. So you'll notice the scale has the colors of a traffic light, red, yellow, green. It has 3 zones and the numbers 1 to 10. In fact, I invite you to think of the scale as a continuum of resilience, from most dysregulated at the top, at the 1, to most regulated at the bottom, at the 10. Let's zoom in. As you'll notice at the top, numbers 1 to 3 make up the red zone. That's the stress response. In the stress response, you can only access the fight, flight, or freeze response. The stress response is a brilliant survival mechanism if a bear is chasing you, but it's a terrible place to live from every day if you don't experience that kind of danger, because we can only show up as our most reactive version of ourselves there. Now, if you look at the bottom, number 7 to 10, they make up the green zone. This is your state of well-being, of self-regulation, of resilience. Your breath is steady, your body's relaxed, your mind is open. Here, you have access to creativity, empathy, wise decision making. And of course, it makes sense that this is the best place to live from, as we can only show up as the best version of ourselves there. And in the middle is the yellow zone, numbers 4 to 6. You're not in full-blown crisis there, but you're not fully in thriving. You're off center. This is where most of us live. Edgy, anxious, distracted, juggling too much. But here's what I want you to notice. Bringing awareness to where you're at on this scale creates choice. If you know you're in the red zone, and just check it out right now, what zone are you in this moment? You don't have to pretend that you're fine. You can pause, apply the reset steps I'll be teaching you, and move towards green so that you can come back to well-being in just minutes. That's resilience in action. Let's focus a bit more on the red zone and check out the science behind it. Like, what happens to us? Why can we become only the most reactive version of ourselves? Well, when you're in the red zone, your body is doing its best to protect you from danger. Your amygdala, the alarm system in your brain, is constantly scanning for threats. The thing is, it reacts much faster than your thinking brain because survival can't wait for you to analyze the external environment. Back in caveman days, this was perfect. You heard a twig snap and your body instantly prepped you to fight or run or freeze. But in today's world, that same ancient wiring gets triggered by modern stressors, an angry email, a child melting down, or an unexpected expense. To your amygdala, those feel just as urgent as a bear in the bushes. And while this stress response is brilliant in a true emergency, living here day after day is devastating. It erodes your health, shortens your temper, clouds your thinking, and poisons your relationships. But the goal isn't to ever avoid going red, because you are going to. The goal is to recognize it quickly, right? The awareness part, and to have the tools to come back. Now let's go deeper into what happens when stress takes over. When the amygdala fires the alarm, your system floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tighten, your focus narrows, right? All to fight, flight, or freeze. At the same time, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for clear thinking, emotional regulation, and sound decision making, that goes dim. It powers down so that all your resources can go to fighting that danger. That's why under stress, you might lash out at somebody you care about, freeze in a meeting, or forget a simple detail. It's not weakness, it's biology. The key is learning how to interrupt that hijack so you can bring your thinking brain back online faster and turn off your fear brain. Here's where the practice of awareness gets practical. I want to help you recognize the signals that let you know what zone you're in, right? Awareness means knowing what stress looks and feels like in real time. And the fastest way to spot it is by tuning into those signals that let you know. So think about your last stressful day. What signals did your body give you? Was it a racing mind that wouldn't stop? A tight chest? A surge of urgency, right? There's this urgency in the stress response. This irritability, this frustration, this impatience. Or maybe it was this tunnel vision where you couldn't see beyond the immediate problem. Those are reactive signals. They're signals that let you know you're either in red or heading towards red. So notice those. Now, think of a moment when you felt steady. Maybe your breath was slow and deep. Your shoulders relaxed. You had a wider perspective about your problems. You had a sense of calm, clarity. Those are signals of resilience. They're signals of the green zone. So take a few seconds right now and take a look at which 2 or 3 of these signals show up most often for you. Let's begin with work, right? which signals do you have a tendency to be anxious, to worry, to feel the sense of urgency, of overwhelm? What about at home? Are you more green zone or red zone at home? The thing is, we can be very different in these different environments. So it's important that you know exactly what signals you are tracking in each of those environments for yourself. Now, if you'd like, pop a word or two in the chat and let us know what you discovered. What are your top 2 or 3 green zone signals? And what are your top 2 or 3 red zone signals? Now, if you lead or are part of a team, you can do the same exercise and do a quick mental check of your team. What do you notice in meetings? What signals do you see? Are people rushing, interrupting, tense, defensive? Or are they listening, considering, steady? This is why signals matter. Noticing precedes choice. Once you can spot your signals quickly, you can act quickly. Awareness is the first step in building resilience. Before we move on to the 3 steps, there's something I really hope you now understand because of this training. If you find that you're the type of person who snaps easily under pressure, who shuts down or feels hijacked by stress, I hope you now understand why it's not your fault. This is what stress does. It takes over the body. It's supposed to flood you with cortisol and adrenaline. It's supposed to shut down clear thinking and to push you into fight, flight, or freeze. That's biology doing its job. It is not your personal weakness. But, and this is the empowering part, while it's not your fault, it is your responsibility to do something about it because, as you're learning, resilience can be trained. So pause for a moment. And instead of judging where you are, which you may or may not be doing, I want to invite you to make a commitment that no matter where you find yourself today, whether you're red, yellow, or green most of the time, you will take responsibility for always choosing green, for practicing these tools, for building this muscle, not just for yourself, but for those around you as well. So are you in? If you're ready to step into that responsibility, type in the chat, I commit. Because every time you reset, you're teaching your nervous system how to recover faster and stay steady under all the pressures in the world. All right, let's go back to the formula and now shift to the action part of it. What do we do when we've become aware of what zone we're in? So if you've discovered that you're in red or yellow zone, you are going to take action by practicing the following 3 steps. Stop, slow down and breathe, and go. And remember, these are related to the traffic light colors so that your system never forgets, especially in times of most stress. So let's start with stop. When stress hijacks you, the stress spiral feels automatic, right? Your body is flooded with stress hormones and your thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, goes partially offline. By staying stop, even silently in your mind, stop, you interrupt that loop. You're shifting from being in the stress to noticing the stress. And that simple act of awareness re-engages your prefrontal cortex just enough to give you a choice. That's why stop matters so much. It doesn't fix everything, but it cracks the door open. It gives you the space to move into the next steps. Step number 2, slow down and breathe. And I tell you to take 5 to 10 deep abdominal breaths in and out through the nose. There's all kinds of other breaths that you can practice, which I teach in my trainings. Your breath is like a remote control for your nervous system. When you take slow, deep abdominal breaths, ideally 10 in a row, you send a signal of safety to your body. Your heart rate slows down, stress hormones begin to drop, and your prefrontal cortex can come back online. This is the real shift from reactivity to resilience. And while breathing doesn't end this reset, it steadies your system long enough to give you the capacity to anchor the shift into the next and final step, which is go. Go do a green zone habit. So once you've stopped, once you've slowed down and breathed, you anchor the reset with a short positive action. About 60 to 90 seconds is ideal. Now, let me tell you why this small step is so powerful. When you anchor a green zone habit, right, that's a habit that sustainably brings you to that green zone state of being, dopamine is released. That marks the moment to your brain as worth repeating. So your memory system saves it so that it's not just a passing shift. It becomes easier to access clarity, balance, and resilience the next time stress hits. And we know that neurons that fire together wire together. So each practice literally strengthens your ability to return to your best self under pressure. So when you stretch, when you listen to your favorite song, or when you send a gratitude text, whatever your favorite green zone habit is, it's not trivial. It's the step that seals the reset that fully rewires your brain for resilience. Now, here's where the whole stress reset method comes together. Let's recap. It starts with awareness, checking in with yourself on the stress reset scale, noticing, am I in red, yellow, or green? That moment of awareness creates the choice point. Once you know where you are, if you're in red or yellow, you move into action. The 3 simple steps: stop, slow down, go. With that formula, you can shift from red zone back into green zone in minutes and radically change the next hour, the next day, and really, in fact, your whole life. And this isn't just theory. This is a method that you can use at your desk, in a boardroom, or in the middle of an urgent call at work. Every time you practice, you're training your nervous system to recover faster. Remember that, because at the beginning, it's not always easy. You might get frustrated with yourself that you're in the red zone way longer than you'd like to be. But every single time you practice this work, you're not just finding calm, you're rebuilding resilience. You're rebuilding your capacity to access clarity, balance, and effectiveness. And maybe it's been years since you've accessed that, rep by rep, until it becomes your default state. Imagine the ripple effect if you live this way. How your team, your family, your organization could be impacted by the way you manage your nervous system. That's the power of this work. So there we are at the end of our training. Thank you so much for being here with me. I know how busy you are, and I hope these 30 minutes gave you something practical and real you can use right away. If you'd like to go deeper for yourself, your team, or your organization, type connect in the chat or private message me. My contact details are also on this slide. I'll personally reach out with my calendar so that we can explore together once you reach out to me. And if you posted a question or reflection, like I said at the beginning of this training, I'll be going back through the thread and responding after this live. So for now, practice this work every single day, many times a day, until resilience becomes who you are. Because stress will always show up. The question is, will you let it run your life, or will you train resilience to lead? Thank you again, everybody. I hope you have an amazing Green Zone day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.